Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, welcome back to the channel. The Texas Man is here, and in today's video, we are going to be talking about Deadpool and Wolverine. If you guys have not already, please hit the bell notification button so you guys don't miss out on future videos. Subscribe, of course, if you guys have not already. If you guys have any movies, shows, or games you guys want me to cover here on the channel, please let me know in the comment section down below. You guys can also find me on Twitch at Douglas447. I stream there regularly. There at Douglas447 on Twitch. And of course, if you guys have any content there you guys want me to cover, please let me know in the comment section down below. Also for the comment section, that is where we're going to be discussing spoilers. So if you want to talk spoilers, that'll be where we do so down in the comment section down below. The video itself here is going to be completely spoiler free. I don't want to go into anything major plot-wise. I want to talk about the film in a general sense. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, aka Deadpool 3, came out here in 2024. It is part of the MCU, and it is a Phase 5 movie. It is rated R and rated R for a good reason. First of all, I want to get this thing out of my mind that Deadpool and Wolverine is the candy-pleasing, multiverse, popcorn flick of the summer adventure. It's the equivalent of all that of DC's The Flash, where you have a bunch of multiverse mashup madness happening. At least the CGI in this one looks good, unlike The Flash. But if you see The Flash, the formula, the basic building blocks of a multiverse mashup of different characters from different universes is used here in Deadpool Wolverine. Now, I will say Deadpool and Wolverine does all that stuff much better than The Flash did, and it's more of a coherent and fun adventure, and it's not such a snooze fest. And it's not so convoluted and complex and confusing to understand as The Flash. But the fact of the matter is, Deadpool and Wolverine, it does not feel like a Deadpool movie. Like, I don't think anyone's going to be able to watch Deadpool, Deadpool 2, and then Deadpool and Wolverine, and be like, hey, why is it that the first two movies feel completely bonkers and completely opposite to this third film? And that's because of the multiverse plot device. And because of the multiverse plot device, the plot itself in this movie, like, I took some serious time to think about how to do this review. And for me to have to shut off my comic book fanboy brain and turn on my critic brain and realize all these things that were happening in the movie. Like, when I was watching the movie, and I saw it with my brother and some friends, shout out to you, Mike and Paul, when I was watching this movie, there was points in the film I was like, yay, Easter eggs, references, woohoo! Oh, look, it's this person. Hey, look, it's that person. Hey, look, it's this person. Hey, look, it's this person. Hey, look, it's that person. Hey, look, it's that person. And it's just like, hey, 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 look, 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 look. And up to a certain point, I was enjoying it. But there came a point in the movie where I realized something. If you ripped all those Easter eggs, you ripped all those references, you ripped out the multiversal plot device, this movie is... it's doo-doo. It doesn't... Seeing all these characters from other Marvel... I'm trying to make sure I don't go into spoilers, in case you haven't seen the movie. If the film has so many Marvel references in it, it becomes overbearing. I don't think they handled it well in that regard. The plot is very basic. So, like I said, I'm gonna make sure I try to stay spoiler free. So, just give me a moment. The whole premise of this film is that Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool's universe, that was under the control of Fox until Disney bought them recently. The whole plot of this film is that because Logan, that we have seen from the Fox universe, from all the X-Men movies, the Wolverine, and Logan, where Logan ends up dying to save his daughter, X-23. Logan is an anchor being. And if and when that anchor being dies in that universe, the universe is going to slowly start dying itself, and eventually in a couple thousand years will just be completely gone and absent and obliterated into oblivion. So the purpose of this film is Deadpool has to go to different universes using the TVA, and I'll jump into that in a moment. He has to use the TVA, and this is not a spoiler because it's in the trailers, so it's not a spoiler. But he has to use the TVA to find a different Wolverine from another universe, pull him from his universe, and bring him into Deadpool's universe, so Deadpool's universe can have a new anchor being, so Deadpool's universe won't get obliterated into oblivion in a couple thousand years. Hope that makes sense. If not, rewatch the video and rewind. The problem I have is that leads to all the multiversal nonsense that happens in the film, because he gets the worst Wolverine out of the bunch. Obviously, there's a bunch of Easter eggs and references while Deadpool's doing this, and then once Deadpool gets his Wolverine that he needs as an anchor being, oh no, big plot twist, somebody at the TVA is not who they say they are. And it ends up putting Deadpool and Wolverine into the void. If that doesn't sound familiar, it's because it does sound familiar from the Loki show. Dun dun dun! See a problem growing here? I'll get to the problem list later. But there's a growing problem. Like, I'm talking about Deadpool and Wolverine, and somehow I've jumped to a Loki TV show on Disney Plus exclusively, unless you have the ability to buy it on DVD and Blu-ray like me, and you're able to pirate it. LOL. No, I'm joking. I do get it from actual reputable sources, and you can get it on Amazon. Moving on. So, they get put into the void, and that's where the bulk of the cameos start appearing. Like I said, I'm not going to go into any spoilers about the references, Easter eggs, and whatnot, and memorabilis. But a good chunk of this movie takes place in the void, allowing for a bunch of Marvel craziness and whatnot to ensue. And it also introduces us to the villain of this film, which I don't think that I'm going to be very vague, I don't think they, as the villain of this movie, was strong enough. I think they needed to go with a different villain. Like, in my mind, there is a list of villains I would have rather have seen Deadpool and Wolverine go up against. Like, clearly, if you've seen the trailer, you know who the villain is. But I was like, I don't know. Maybe an evil Xavier? Maybe Magneto? I don't know. Somebody. But they introduced this villain for this another one-off Marvel film. They introduced this Marvel character, and then they die in the end. It's like, okay, I get it. We're doing the Marvel thing that we did in, like, Iron Man from 2008, but seriously, can we keep people alive besides just Loki and Thanos? Like, come on! Seriously, it's getting annoying. You build up all these really great villains, and then you kill them off in 2 hours. What's the point? But yeah, I was just expecting somebody else to be the villain, and maybe the trailer not tell me everything. So, Deadpool and Wolverine, they go on a bunch of Easter egg memorabilis and whatnot. They have a quote-unquote Avengers-like battle at the end in the void. And it leads to Deadpool and Wolverine, in the end, having to do something very heroic in order to stop the villain from destroying not just Deadpool's reality, but all the realities, making it so that the only thing that is left is the void itself, and that way the villain can be the god of the universe and god of the void, because that's all that's left. The film just doesn't make any logical sense. If you think about the film in any capacity, it doesn't make any sense. It is just full of dumb and stupid nonsense that just occurs for the sake of the movie. Also, I'm gonna slightly talk. It's slightly spoilery, slightly. But the ending is the most illogical part of the movie, and it gives you more questions rather than answers. Here's what I mean. I'm gonna try, like I said, I'm gonna do my best to keep it spoiler free. But if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So the whole purpose, the whole plot of the film, is that Deadpool is trying to take Wolverine. Deadpool is trying to get a Wolverine from another universe into Deadpool's universe, so Deadpool's universe is safe. In doing so, he is ripping the Wolverine anchor being to keep Wolverine's universe that he is in at the moment alive and well and won't ever get disintegrated into oblivion in a couple thousand years. So if Deadpool takes that Wolverine from that other separate universe, puts him into Deadpool's universe to save Deadpool's universe, this universe over here no longer has a Wolverine. So doesn't that mean that this Wolverine's universe is going to get obliterated because Wolverine's no longer there? So how does this plot make any sense? Because while Deadpool's universe is going to be fine because that Wolverine's in it now because it now has an anchor being. But this one over here doesn't. So this one's going to get obliterated. Unless they do this stupid explanation that, he just hops. He's just hopping between universes to make sure both of them stay alive. Do you see a problem with the multiverse plot device? It causes more confusion than time travel. This movie makes your head hurt. Like, literally, me and my brother, we were driving home and we were talking about it even when we got home for another 15 minutes. We talked about the ending and whatnot and how illogical the whole movie was for like an hour. And we're just like, this movie made no logical sense. It doesn't make any sense. And like, this Wolverine is an anchor being. He's the anchor being for his universe. So would it even matter that he's in another universe? Because he's not the anchor being for that universe that he's now in, because it's not the Wolverine he's not the anchor being that universe needed. And I'm just like, oh, it makes your head hurt. I don't understand it. I just don't. Moving on, I think Deadpool and Wolverine both being on screen together was great. I think Wolverine it's weird that this is called Deadpool and Wolverine, but I think a lot more of the time was spent on Wolverine himself, especially this alternate version where, and this is in the trailers, so this is not a spoiler, but this Wolverine is the last of the X-Men, and all the other X-Men were hunted down and killed by humans / Sentinels. They don't reference the Sentinels, but how do you wipe out the X-Men without the Sentinel program being activated? You can't just send in the military and kill the X-Men. It just would not happen. It shouldn't happen, but this is another universe, so whatever. That's my own opinion. So I think Wolverine got a lot more attention, and he got a lot more background dived into him. And Deadpool, even at the end of the film, doesn't really get a proper resolution. He doesn't get a proper send-off. So I'm sure Deadpool and Wolverine and everybody else that survived or didn't survive, they're somehow going to come back in the next MCU film. And that's the problem with the multiverse plot devices. Even characters that died in this movie, I'm sure can come back. And the ones that are alive, I'm sure will come back. Yeah. So also, you need to understand that this Wolverine that Hugh Jackman is playing is not the one that we have seen from the Fox X-Men franchise. So he's a different Wolverine that we've never seen before. So he's got his own tragic backstory, LOL. He's got his own motivations. And because he's from a universe that we've not seen, it allows for him to be able to don the actual Wolverine costume from the comics and movies and shows before Fox did live action. Another thing that you have to understand is that in order for you to have any semblance to understand this movie, and here we go because of the multiverse, in order to understand this film, you need to have watched all the X-Men franchise movies. So you can understand all the Easter eggs, references, and memorabilities. You need to have watched Deadpool 1 and 2. You need to have watched all of the all of the MCU movies prior to understand this. You need to have watched Loki season 1 and 2 on Disney Plus for the sake of understanding the timeline and the TVA. There's a lot of homework to do. Okay? Also, you need to especially have watched Logan. And if you haven't watched Logan in the past, 5-6 years, there's something wrong with you. Masterpiece of a movie. Great film. Check it out. But it's just you have to do so much homework to understand this movie. And it's weird because Kevin Feige himself said, oh, you could just watch these Phase 4, 5, and 6 films without watching the Disney Plus shows to understand what's going on. Liar! Half of this movie's plot, which is, again, very paper thin, involves you understanding who the TVA is. So if you don't know who the TVA is, and they're doing all these weird things with the multiverse, you're not going to understand what is going on. My mom, she's older, but she doesn't, keep up with all the Marvel stuff. And so I'm like, hey, Mom, let's watch this TV show. And I got her to watch Loki season 1 and 2 with me. And then she went and saw Deadpool and Wolverine with her girlfriends. And she was able to understand it because she's like, oh, I know what this is. This is the TVA from that Loki show that my son made me watch. And I'm like, you're welcome. But, if she hadn't watched it, she would not have known what the hell the TVA is. So, yeah. Alright, I'm going to wrap this video up really quick now. This film does not advance the plot of the MCU in general. The film, like I said earlier, is rated R. It's very violent. It's very crass. It is overflowing with unnecessary language. If you take out... I get it's a it's a Deadpool and Wolverine film. But I don't think the abundance of crassness and vulgar language throughout this almost 2-hour runtime was necessary. If you ripped out all of that crass and language from the film, I think it being PG-13 would have been better. More people will be able to see it instead of having to sneak in and prove that they're not, sneak in and not have to prove that they're 18 or older to see this film. I just wish that it would have been a little more family friendly. I get it's a Deadpool and Wolverine film. I get it. The violence kind of has to be there. But the crassness, I guess, and the language is just unnecessary, and I didn't understand it. And it was just, I got to a point where it was happening so much that you just get tone deaf to it, and it's kind of unnecessary, and I didn't like that. Most of the jokes are decent. Some of them I laughed at, some of them I snickered, but I wasn't laughing my butt off at it, and I don't think anyone else in my theater, and by the way, my theater was packed for seeing this. We bought tickets in advance to make sure we actually sit together, but it wasn't like a crowd-pleasing film. I wasn't like, woo-hoo, yay! It wasn't one of those types of films. It does unfortunately have the message in here. There is that in here. It's very minimal, and if you're not paying attention, you will miss it. It's towards the third act that it happens, and it is kind of sad. I don't think Deadpool and the Wolverine is going to save the MCU. I think it's going to be one of those diamond in the roughs. It's going to be one of those hidden gems. I don't see me rewatching this movie anytime soon. I'm not jumping out of my seat to go see it again. I saw it for a matinee price of $5, and I'm happy that's all I spent. I will probably rewatch this movie again in a year or so when it comes out on Disney Plus. But I'm not yeah, I gotta go see it again. I'm looking forward more to things like the new M. Night Shyamalan movies Trap and the new Alien film Alien Romulus coming out later here in August. Deadpool and Wolverine, it's a hard movie to judge because while I enjoyed the first two for what they were, and I enjoyed this film for what it is, this movie is Deadpool and Wolverine's introduction into the MCU. But it unfortunately is still tied to the whole MCU Phase 4 and 5 and 6 problem of the multiverse plot device, whether that's using Kang or Doctor Doom or whoever as the villain, or Galactus. I still don't know what we're building towards. We just have all these characters just showing up in a movie. Um, Deadpool and Wolverine, it's still part of the multiverse plot device, and I really hope Marvel is able to move away from that. Like, that's one thing, while I'm still critical based on the trailer of the new Captain America film, Brave New World, at least that movie doesn't look like it's going to be tied into the multiverse plot. And so for that, I'm probably going to give it a bonus point just because of that, if it stays away from it. But this film, it's just filled with Easter eggs, references, member berries. But the plot's very basic. The plot is very paper thin. And it's going to be a movie that you're going to be like, oh, I loved it because of all these cameos and whatnot. But if you think about it on a deeper level, it's very boring. It's not all that interesting. And I think this film, while it is in hype mode right now, just because of Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds playing their best characters ever, I can see this movie dying off and losing steam. And come next February when Captain America 4 comes out, I don't think a lot of people are going to remember this movie as much as they are wanting to at the moment. So, with that, guys, I'm going to give Deadpool and Wolverine here from 2024 a 5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Have an excellent day. Like I said, if you guys want to talk anything spoiler related, we can do so. We can do so down in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching. Have a great one. Go in peace.